GTT.
Not sure if your audio sounds professional? A sound check by George the Tech removes all doubts and explains the next steps. Audiobooks, podcasts, or voiceovers. For content creators, we do it all. New customers get 20% off with coupon code XPTO.
George the Tech. Over the years, I've watched 7 people die while I was announcing. And this is really on the verge of being a put down of actors. We are creatives. We are interpreters, but what we do is still entertainment, and we do not lay our lives on the line when we can punch and roll back to 1 or take 2 or do a click edit.
George the Tech.
Hi, everybody. It's George the Tech. Here is another one of our lovely client profile interviews. I know you guys have been waiting for this. We get such fun, interesting guests with such a variety of backgrounds and skill sets. And Rob would definitely set the bar high because this man he's got so much varied interests, skills, talent. And I don't know, we have a hard out at some point. I know at some point we'll have to stop talking, probably about an hour from now.
We could probably go on for a long time.
We could go on for a really long time.
We probably have great war stories.
Absolutely. But we'll try to encapsulate it for you guys today in a friendly podcast episode with a great voice actor, a pilot, multi-talented audio engineer, and just a cool, really nice fella. Rob Ryder is here with me today. How you doing, Rob?
I'm fine, George. It's great to be able to participate with you after having watched you on Voiceover Body Shop and then saw you at VO Atlanta where we first met a few years ago. And I consider you, if there are golden ears out there, yours certainly approach them. You know,
well, thank you.
Because you heard things in my other room as the third and final guy to help me tweak my previous studio. You heard things that I didn't until you called my attention to them.
I feel like I'm in a car dealer commercial. Come here last, because this is the last place you'll ever need to go. You know,
That's right. Only $99.44 a month for 7,000 months, whatever. But anyway, it's great to call you a friend. It is great to be able to hang out with you every once in a while, and great to learn from you, from your vast experience.
Well, we got to hang out not that long ago, which is, it's unusual. It's unusual to get to have a little hang time with clients. And you literally said, let's do lunch. And you were so kind to have me come out and have lunch with you at the Beverly Hilton. Tell everybody why we met at the Beverly Hilton. What was the purpose of your visit? And that'll give us a little introduction into who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I have been doing work for, over the years, the Living Legends of Aviation organization, both here in the United States and also Europe, doing VOG work and voiceover for some of the things and emceeing it on a couple of occasions, or co-emceeing it on a couple of occasions. And I was out there in April to participate because I was honored for my career as an airshow announcer, not made a living legend of aviation, but at the Beverly Hilton, where they do the Golden Globes, is where they do the Living Legends of Aviation event. And so I was presented not with a Golden Globe, but a golden ukulele, because I'm a guitarist as well. So
was that a special award made for you because it was ukulele?
It was. I was so surprised. I knew they were going to mention. They said we want to recognize you from the stage, but I had no idea that I would be presented with that very. It's really a very special gift, you know. If it's not a
That's
Golden
awesome.
Globe, a golden ukulele is pretty good.
When somebody makes something for you bespoke as an award, that's really special. It's not a off-the-shelf trophy. That's really, really cool.
It was very cool.
It shows you how much they honor what you do and how much they respect what you do. And there weren't just like amazing pilots and aeronautical mavens in the room, but there were some legit superstar actors and celebrities in the room too, right?
Oh yeah, the guy who hosts the whole thing, the head guy in charge in terms of the presentation, is John Travolta, an incredible pilot. Tom Cruise is a living legend of aviation. But when you and I grabbed a bite to eat up on the 8th floor or whatever it was of the Beverly Hilton that day, somebody walked in that you recognized.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we were sitting by the window. The window was to the right, and in a round table, rather conspicuous, right in the center of the restaurant, was Mr. Morgan Freeman. I was like, "Whoa, there's Morgan Freeman."
Yeah.
I was like,
And-
and you were like, "I think that's don't look too hard," but I'm like. I'm looking out of the corner. I'm like, holy cow, and he was sitting there with probably some of his management or something, is my best guess.
Well, and I've seen him there with a bunch of people over the years, and
Yeah.
he is, and a nice chap. Even Travolta and I had a chance to hang out backstage for about 15 minutes a few years back, and he was so delightful talking airplanes. And but last year at the event, Kenny G, who is also a living legend of aviation.
One of my clients, Roger Rose, is really good friends with Kenny G. He talks about him all the time.
Well, there you go. And Morgan Freeman and he worked out an arrangement of Come Fly With Me. And they played that.
That's
Morgan
cool.
Freeman can sing pretty decently. You know
How
that.
about it, man? You know, a lot of actors are damn good singers, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, to be great at. When you're in a room full of A-listers and you have this other thing that's completely unrelated to their job, their profession on camera, and it's, in this case, flying, it completely drops the barrier, and now you're on even playing field, and now you get to chat with them. And the few times I've gotten to chat with luminaries like that, it's rare, but as soon as you can talk about something that's kind of off the menu, instead of like, I loved you in, and can I get your picture, blah, blah, blah. And you can just talk about it's a common bond thing. They just light up, right? They love that. It's the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah, they do. Aviation is a big equalizer. What I've found is even some of the most well-known aerobatic pilots and performers, world champions, are so down to earth. And I'm a private pilot. I've got an instrument rating. I got a small airplane. Up until my retirement at the end of last year, I would fly to about 75% of the shows that I went to. Wow. And that, even though I'm not an aerobatic superstar, I am treated with great respect because I'm a pilot and I'm using it and I'm doing it.
Yeah,
and
you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned aeronautics, and I don't want to bring it down too much, but I know that you being friends and having known many aeronautical expert pilots, you've lost some of those friends over the years. I guess it's part of this world of piloting at that level. It happens, right? And right before we had met, like that day, you'd heard no news of loss of a friend. Can you tell me a little bit about that fellow?
Yeah, the guy's name was Rob Holland, and he was, if I would say, the current, not only was he the best of the best of the best, but he was a 13-time U.S. Unlimited National Aerobatic Champion and a 6-time World Freestyle Aerobatic Champion.
This guy could handle things in his body that if you didn't know this was a real plane with a real human, you'd probably think it was an RC plane. I bet, seeing some of the stuff that you can do in that plane, right?
He used to do 2 different Frisbee maneuvers where he'd be flying around and rotate 360 degrees and then come out. He did that upside down as well. And he was on his way, the day before we met, he was on his way to Langley, Virginia for Langley Air Force Base's show. He was literally seconds from landing. He knew he had a problem and thought he had it made. And literally seconds before he would have touched down, he was over the runway. Control was lost on the airplane and he was killed instantly. It was the most incredible loss to our business. Over the years, I've watched 7 people die while I was announcing.
Wow.
And you talk about...
Sorry.
No. I
couldn't miss this because this is so important. You know?
Yeah. My job as an announcer, I have to become very compartmentalized.
Oh, totally.
And
That's probably why I couldn't do it.
well, you practice, and I've had things memorized. 6 things that I say, no matter what happens. But it's interesting and this is really on the verge of being a put down of actors and voice actors in particular. we are creatives, we are interpreters, but what we do is still entertainment. And we do not lay our lives on the line when we can punch and roll back to one or take two or do a click edit.
That's right.
And when we watch people who are pushing the airplanes to the absolute limit, that the aviation is very unforgiving in that respect.
Absolutely.
So I come from that business, and it takes my attitude as a voice actor and says, I can focus on that, but I also know that I'm not going to get hurt as a result of it, unless I offend somebody. But
Yeah.
but that's nothing.
Did you
like
start? So I have to assume, but I'll ask you: were you a pilot before you became a voice actor?
Well, yes, primarily. I used to be on TV in the Midwest on a four-market show. On the Bob Braun Show was the name of it, and it was on in Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and Indianapolis, live 5 days a week. I was one of the
TV,
singers.
baby.
Oh, no net, buddy. No net.
See, this is it's an ongoing through line. Like you perform, or else.
That's exactly right. And we used to, I sang everything from John Denver to show tunes to Earth, Wind, and Fire on the show. We had a hot band, and it was really cool.
Wow.
I'm still on YouTube, but that show just taught me how we took our show to the Dayton Air Show in 1978, and I got hooked. I'd always loved airplanes, but I started volunteering there, and then I got a little time to announce as kind of the color announcer, and then eventually between 1979 and 1995, I started getting interested in it as a vacation type thing, continued to volunteer and then get paid at Dayton. In 1995, I joined the International Council of Air Shows. But in the meantime, while I was on the show, 1980, I got a flight with the Thunderbirds. And I told my wife, I have got to get a pilot's license.
Are those F-15s?
In those days, they were T-38 Talon trainers.
Oh, okay.
In those days, before they went to the F-16s.
F-16,
which they fly now, yeah. And I got my private pilot's license. The
You
show
got bit by the bug, I guess.
Oh my gosh, horribly badly. And
in those, do you sit behind the pilot or you sit side by side?
Behind in the T-38 back seat, tandem seating.
So you got a stick in the back as well because it's a trainer, or
there was. I think they may have taken the stick out of that.
right.
Now on my flights with the Blue Angels, there was a stick.
Wow.
And I did get to fly one jet just a little bit. And I've flown with the Blue Angels twice, and all of this came together as a performer, entertainer, guitarist, live television, live events, and I also got to write music for some internationally syndicated young people specials that won Peabody Awards. I won 3 of my 4 Emmys for music that I wrote for those.
That's amazing.
And, regional Emmys, it's not national.
Yeah.
Another for on-air performance. But all of that came together that when I got to be in 2019, I'm thinking, what am I going to do after air shows? And why? And how am I going to get out of air show announcing and have something else to do, but get out while I'm on top? And Johnny Carson did it right?
That's true.
The bell curve, just there. And he retired, 30 years. I decided I was going to retire, and I thought, what am I going to do? And I had a recording studio at home, and I was doing voiceover work for a company called Sporty's Pilot Shop, doing their e-learning before they even called it e-learning on their private pilot and instrument pilot and other pilot training courses.
Yeah.
Widest selling in the world.
You had all these different components to start doing voiceover as a business. And it was just all there, and you just had to start a brand, get the website, get demos, and just launch it. Sounds like
all of that worked out really, really well. And when I connected with Bill DeWeese, he said in part of his program, market broadly and let the market decide what your niche is. I thought, promo commercial, that's me. Well, long story short, what caught was audiobooks. And that was through a high school friend who announced on Facebook on our class page, retired Navy captain, retired physician, that his second novel was coming out. And I said, "Hey, Ken, and can I try it?" He says, "I'll send you a chapter." He sent me a chapter. I recorded it, played it for my two boys who are 10 years apart now, 50 and 40. This is 5 years ago. And I said, "Am I doing this right?" They said, "Yes." And so I sent it to the author. He liked it. His publisher liked it. So I did 2 novels for the guy.
I mean, just listen to you speak now. I could definitely listen to you read a book to me for
Thanks.
a long time. You
No,
have the
thank you.
right kind of voice character, the delivery. It's all there. It totally makes sense why that would be it's not always a given, right? Just because you have the skill, the talent, the gear, the space, doesn't mean you have the focus and the concentration and that long haul skill set to get through a book. It's a long process.
It is, but I've had great coaching from people like Hillary Huber and P.J. Oakland and
they're the
Jennifer
best.
Jill Araya. And Jennifer's in town here in Cincinnati, and I've attended her retreat and will again this year, this August. There's so much to learn, but so much that is counter to what announcers used to think was important. And I've heard other audiobook narrators, in my estimation, over enunciate. And Hillary said to me, listen to the book The Memory of Running by Ron McClarty. And that was liberating for me because he talked just like he was telling a story. He didn't talk like he was telling a story. He said, "I talk like I'm telling a story."
There you go.
It's just that relaxed, standing on somebody's shoulder, talking into their ear kind of thing.
Yeah. And you encapsulate that. You definitely have that.
Oh,
I mean,
thanks.
that's what makes it such a natural fit for you. Are you doing a mixture of fiction and nonfiction, or do you find that you're just doing, what do you like to do? What's your niche?
I love mysteries and thrillers, but I've done nonfiction. I did a long book on the F-35 Lightning II. I probably know more about that airplane than most of the pilots who fly it. At least the history. It was the fact that airplane exists is a miracle.
I know some model numbers, but F-35, is this a plane from what decade?
That's the brand new one. There are only a couple of thousand.
Oh, this is the new one.
That's the new one that the Marine Corps has a version of, the Navy has a version of, the Air Force version of, and there's 16 countries.
Is this thing like almost VTOL?
The Marine Corps version is, yes. They call it STOVL, short takeoff vertical landing.
Short takeoff vertical landing.
Yeah.
So it needs almost almost no runway at all to take off, right?
Yeah.
Do they still use those runways on the flight decks that have like a little kicker ramp on them for some of these aircraft?
I have seen those. I have never been
That's
near
an old
one.
historical thing, right?
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore.
They could launch the Harriers that way.
Yes.
And so
as
the
a mountain
F-30
biker, we love seeing ramps. And we want to see a ramp with a nice lip and a little. We call them kickers.
Is that right?
They don't just go flat. They have like a curve so that they'll kick you into the air.
And do you do?
Well, if you're one of those guys, that is definitely not me. But kicker ramps they have that ability to loft you. With your skill, they have the ability to loft you through the air and get you up higher, right? So
I would think that would be initially frightening.
Oh yeah. No, you have to work up to it, and if you don't, you pay the price. I hit one at a bike park in Big Bear, and I went over the handlebars. We call it an OTB. When you go over the bars, it's scary because I wasn't in the right body position. I wasn't really prepared for how much loft it was going to have, and what ended up happening was the front of the bike sort of took the hit because it had suspension. The rear of the bike was very rigid, and so the front end I didn't lift the bike off the jump. I just sort of let it absorb.
Oh my.
But the rear wheel hit the kicker and just sent the bike like forward. And I remember just going, oh, shoot, here we go. Landed on my back. I had a Camelback on full of water. That probably was a big part of what cushioned my fall because I literally landed a good helmet. I scraped up my arm real bad. It was all bloody. Got up, picked up my bike. Handlebars were sideways. And the first thing I thought through my head was, I need to get the hell out of the way ASAP or someone's going to land on me. You know, because you can't be seen. You're below the jump. You're below that thing. Someone could come right over and land on you. So I was like, I need to get up and get out of the way. That was the first thing that came through my mind.
Oh, man.
And then I got up. I went, straightened out my handlebars. And I was like, okay, that'll be enough today. And then I rode the rest of the way down the mountain.
Oh, my gosh.
It could school you. I'll tell you, I've watched it happen to numerous riders who are a little bit, overly confident, and then they don't have the skill. We often say when somebody has a good wreck, they ran out of talent.
I'll remember that. Oh, my goodness.
But most mountain bikers walk away. They do occasionally have severe injuries. I know that people get airlifted and stuff. A friend of mine has been. It's pretty rare on any kind of a normal trail to lose your life on a mountain bike. You have to have done something extraordinarily stupid, very dangerous, or ride on some extremely exposed trail, which we do have some here in SoCal. Up in the Mount Wilson area, there are trails that are what we like to call pass-fail, which means either you stay on the trail or you plummet to your impending doom.
Oh, golly.
We do have some of those trails. So it gives you a healthy respect for knowing your limits. It's the closest I'll come to being a pilot. Let's just put it that way. You're fully dialed. You're 100% present. You're watching the trail ahead. You're looking at the next corner. You're not looking down there. You're not looking up there. You're not looking at the ground and below you. You're fully like present. It is the most present. Again, like flying a plane. I'm sure flying a plane, it's the most present you're ever going to be is when you're in weather or you're landing. You're fully there.
Yeah, as they say, flying is the second greatest experience known to man. Landing is the first.
Yeah. Anybody can fly a plane.
Yeah. But not everybody can land it. That's for sure. It's
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. It's not always forgiving, but
yeah, I know. We got to watch all now thanks to social media, everybody gets to watch you walk away from a landing. It's like that one we had about 2-3 months ago where the gentleman put down, was it a Cessna on a golf course right here in LA?
That was
a Cessna.
Yeah, it was. I saw that.
Dead stick landing, prop was like straight up and down. Can't really mess up. Otherwise, prop's going to hit the ground, dig a hole in the ground. There's like all kinds of things that can go wrong. And he stuck the landing, popped it right down between a few sand traps in front of the caddy shack, and they walked out of the plane. It was really impressive. You don't always have that kind of an outcome, even with great pilots. But in point of fact, anybody who can walk away from a landing, it's very, very helpful. So anyway. It's a good landing. It's a good one. Well, your skills in piloting has certainly informed, or at least I would say given you some ability to be better at voice acting and, of course, the technology of it. So this would be a great segue to talk a little bit about the technology of audio and voice recording. And you have a fair amount of background in audio as well. Tell us a little bit more. I mean, you've done live announce, you've done varying things around sound, but where else have you had skill in the background of voiceover or audio engineering in general?
Well, when I was a singer on the TV show and also doing the folk music thing, I had a small teeny PA system with a little Shure M267 mixer.
Is that the little one with just like 5 knobs, 6 knobs?
And the meter. And the
EQ.
And the meter, no EQ.
Nothing, just that's it.
That, a couple of Electro Voice decent microphones, RE16s, and an amplifier and a couple of speakers. But when I was working with the TV show, when we would go out on the road, we would have some horrible sound systems. So I started putting together some bigger speakers, some Altec speakers with horn and 15, and the Shure Vocal Master.
Were those horrible ones like the column speakers where it's just like a long column?
Oh, fortunately, no. I went
Okay.
Altec, but the Vocal Master is the mixer amplifier with 6 inputs, and our sound got better. And I ended up becoming the secondary user of it because people said, "Can you bring this sound system too?" My late younger brother was a flipping genius. When he was 12 years old, he had built a console with 12 AX7 tubes in it and stuff. I mean,
At 12 years old?
12 years
Oh my
old. He was
God,
brilliant,
that's awesome.
a component level engineer. He taught me some things, and this is for the absolute geeks. He taught me signal flow, he taught me gain structure, and he taught me impedance matching. And those 3 things enabled me to put together a sound company that did a lot of orchestral work for regional orchestras around here.
Oh, wow. Orchestra
And-
reinforcement's pretty tough.
yeah. And I even got to do the Knoxville Symphony, and I got to do the Lexington Philharmonic as well.
Wow.
And
Were these
putting up
outdoor, indoor, or both?
both, but a lot of outdoor.
A lot of outdoor, yeah.
But I had the musical ear, and I've said to people, I bet I can teach a musician to turn knobs and get a good mix easier than I can get some knob turner to hear things musically.
Oh,
So
for
I
sure.
could make an orchestra sound like an orchestra.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I mean, what's the most number of mics you probably had to have on stage at one time, do you think?
45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That's a lot to balance. It's a lot to make sure they all sound the way they're supposed to sound. Did you have some very, like, always put this mic in this place, always put this mic in front of this artist or instrument, I mean to say?
I tended to do that. And I didn't have all the microphones that I would have liked, but I had
Right.
I had 7 Shure SM81s, and since they're fairly neutral microphones,
Condenser.
I put those over my violins, first and second violins, and violas. And then I had some other microphones. I forget what I used for cello. And but then I had for my woodwinds, I had Electro Voice RE15s and 16s.
The RE15s, did they have a long body with a head on the end? Or
Well,
what were they shaped like?
It had that backbone. It was about 6 inches, and then
Did the body have like hole slots in the...
on the backbone
the
had
body?
slots in it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the RE16 that they still make literally has an RE15 body inside the integral pop filter.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
so I use those for big bands, for saxes and stuff as well. They just seem to work. And then I cheated in a huge way. You'll love this. The Radio Shack PZM.
Oh, yeah. I think I
$30
had one at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a 1/4-inch connector on it, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty
Lop
sure,
off
yeah.
that 1/4-inch connector, and there are 3 wires.
No
ground,
kidding.
and it's a balanced mic that Radio Shack unbalanced.
Did it have a battery?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't know this until I was doing some baseball A2 work at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati.
What
and
did
the
you use
guys,
that for?
A dugout mic. And the guy sent me out there. I said, "We can't use this." He says, "Yes, you can." And he opened my eyes to the fact that it is a balanced microphone. I used
love
to
it.
dump those inside harps.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
I would get great harp sound because of
Wow.
that with an orchestra, with
cool.
virtually no bleed, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of
Yeah.
gain.
I had
So
one Crown PZM, and it had the compact body. It was only like
yeah.
really big.
Yeah.
And so the electronic preamp, I think, was on the XLR. I think if I
Could have been.
remember, had like an
Could-
oversized connector. And I
Yeah.
would put that on the lid of a piano for like concerts and stuff when I needed a little.
We would hang. I would set a basket of 2 Radio Shack PZMs upside down over the harp of the piano in 2 different places and hang them upside down, and then you could close the lid. Nobody cared or whatever. But all sorts of little tricks. But when I was still a teenager, George, I went to this Fred Waring music workshop. Fred Waring was a band leader who was huge in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and before rock and roll. And it was a choral thing. And while I was there, I got to sing into and touch my first Neumann microphone. It was a U48.
So
It
the
was-
48, was that?
It was.
Stereo?
It would no. It was.
No.
It was. It was Omni or cardioid.
Omni or cardioid.
It didn't
So
have
did it
three
come
positions.
out like after the 47? Was it
I
like
think
the
so.
next
And
47? Is that what it was?
yeah, and there was some sort of. I'm trying to remember if you could put a 48 head basket on a 47 body or the other way
Yeah.
around, but you couldn't do
Yeah.
both. But I heard that microphone and I fell in love with Neumann, and it took me literally 40 years to be able to afford and justify my first U87.
Yeah. It
And
is
so I'm
kind of the
so
desert
in
island.
love with this mic.
It's a desert island mic for sure.
I know
really
a lot of
is.
people don't like it, though.
But it commands a good, I mean, it's not good on everybody's voice, and it's certainly not good in everybody's room. So let's talk about your room a little bit. You got a U87 in there, but
Yeah.
this isn't a 3x4 or 3x5 booth. This is a decently sized room. So
This
you
is
just moved. You've got a new space, I understand.
Yep.
Tell us about the room you're in.
The room I'm in is 10 by 13, and I'm seated
size.
about a third of the way back. And around me and over my shoulder, 3 walls are these automute strata tiles that are put in one by one. And my wife, Jill, laid them out on the floor in another part of the basement
Really?
to get them patterned right. And then the,
No
and
way.
then the
That's
workmen put
nice.
them in one by one.
Yeah.
But they are tremendously absorptive. Sitting off to my right, over my right shoulder, is a GIK Acoustics baffle that you suggested I get for my other studio several years ago.
Yeah.
And because you heard things that you heard some low mid-frequency reflections that I didn't hear until you called my attention to them.
Was that a smaller room? I don't remember.
And it was a bigger room, but I
was
had
bigger.
some baffles. But I
Interesting.
did have
Okay.
some baffles,
Yeah.
which and those baffles were things for like photo ops and things, but a big frame that was already built out of aluminum, and I
Right.
doubled up moving blankets under
Yeah.
the covers
Yeah.
of them, and so.
Yep.
Once, but still, back behind me is where you had me put this GIK Acoustics baffle, and that, bam, it locked it in.
Right,
But the room is good. I'll have a control room on the other side, and once that's done, I will be ready for all my podcasting and.
Well, I was going to say, why do you need a control room? You're just a guy. Are you going to have other people come in? Are you going to do
I
productions
actually
for
have done
people?
that. I have done that. I've had as many in my old room. I had 6 singers at one point, and a
That's
keyboard.
amazing.
So
What was your
and
favorite mic to mics, multiple singers in one room? together?
U87s at Omni.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had 3 singers on a mic, 2 singers on a mic?
3 singers on a mic.
Three singers on a mic?
Yeah. And it worked. It didn't have, I mean, it wasn't perfect. It would be like trying to put drums in a room like this, right? There's
Sure.
just
Yeah.
but I was able to EQ it and take the edges away,
Right.
and it worked nicely.
Yep.
But when I'm doing the podcast work, I've got 5-6 channels going with themes, beds,
Right.
voiceover, interviews, and things like that.
So you like to try to produce it, quote unquote, produce it live, or as Dan and I called it on VOBS, we did it live to drive. So you're trying to produce it as though it's live, and we were live, but at the end of the day, we would still edit the show if we needed.
There you go.
So we really looked at it as like we're recording it live to the disc, to the hard drive. So we call
Yes.
it live to drive.
I think that would be appropriate.
So you try to produce like that.
Yep. And with the interviews that I'm doing, the podcast that I host, I was approached by Flying Magazine. They've been around for 97 years now.
That's amazing.
They had a column. Their most widely read column was called "I Learned About Flying from That," and I was approached by one of the folks from Flying saying, "Listen, I took your private pilot course. I like the way you read, and I know you're an aviation. You're a pilot. You do the air show announcing. You're a well-known name in aviation. Would you be interested in doing a podcast version of that column?" I said, not only yes, but heck yes, because I was already looking for other things to do after air show announcing.
Right.
And we put this together, and it's stories. They are stories of pilots who have gotten into dicey situations and lived to tell about it.
You don't have to know a thing about flying. to be compelled by these. I've listened to a few. I know a little bit about flying because my uncle was an amateur pilot, and I rode in the plane with him several times. But I mean, these stories are amazing. They're
Some
amazing.
of them are pretty daggone compelling, that's for sure.
The last few I heard, and the phrase that sticks with me every time, because I've heard, literally is those 3 words, just fly. Is it 3 words or just?
Fly the plane.
Fly the plane. 3 words.
Right.
Fly
That's
the plane.
Exactly right.
The guy talking about the goose. I think it was a goose coming through the windshield.
Yes.
Holy cow, that was a harrowing story.
Oh, it was indeed. And and the wife, who was not even involved in aviation, wound up becoming a flight instructor.
Because he couldn't see. He was blinded, right?
Yeah. He had to be down, duck way down underneath.
Oh, he had to be ducked below the dash because there was no shield anymore.
Right. And then he would peek up and try to figure out where he was. Landed safely, but it was...
The stories are incredible.
Yeah.
And it's beautifully produced, as you would expect. I mean, you do a really nice production. I wanted just one more thing about the Automute stuff. I got to meet and know the CEO of Automute, Mitch. And he's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. Yeah, he's come to LA to do some projects, and I hung out with him and chatted with him, and I'm having him work on Tara Strong's room right now.
Nice.
The hardest part is narrowing down what the design should look like, because it's absolutely infinite. Like, they can do anything you can think of with that material that's on the wall behind you. The Strata is just one idea, but I mean, they can make colors, patterns, full color images, literally anything you can think of on that stuff. How did you find Automute with all the different stuff out there? How did you settle on?
It was Bill DeWeese. He said when he was living in Cincinnati for a couple of years, he had a basement room in addition to his whisper room where he would work. He also is a guitarist and pretty talented guy and liked to record, but his room sounded for crap. And somehow he found it, and he and his wife put up a wall of it in the basement, and I heard it. It cleaned things up. And I thought, that's what I need so I don't have to listen to drywall. Because I really don't like to listen to drywall much.
Well, I mean, there's a million ways to knock down the reflection off drywall. But this stuff is, like, interesting in varying ways. Obviously, it looks really interesting. It looks like slate or it looks like stone.
Yep.
How thick is it on average?
They vary in depth from about 2 inches to almost 4. Wow. And they're about 1.5 inches high, and they are 2 feet long.
And then how are they attached?
What you do, they send a bunch of adhesive that you put in strips vertically along where you're going to put it. And then you put the construction adhesive in a pattern around it, and then take the pieces, put them into place. And the adhesive, the double-faced adhesive, helps it hold it in place until the construction adhesive sets and holds.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
I think I may have spoken with Mitch myself at one point when I was.
I'm sure he did. He likes to engage with the customers. He's really talkative and nice, knowledgeable dude. Yeah.
So with a carpeted floor, I've got some natural light coming in over my shoulder. And
how about the ceiling?
The ceiling, half of it's 7.5, half is it's 9 feet high.
Oh, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're seated, so the ceiling's quite high above you. It's not.
Yeah. I'm in a stool. I'm in a stool that has that doesn't move. My desk doesn't move. So when I sit down,
it's always in the
maintenance,
right spot.
Yeah. And if I have to change anything, I'm not going to blame the equipment. If I have to do pickups on an audiobook, sometimes it's seamless. Some other times I've got to work my voice back from the mic or maybe a little closer, whatever it happens to be, to make sure that I match those pickup points exactly. And I pride myself in that because I want to make it easier for an editor when I go right into the raw file and fix the raw file and send him a clip from that. So he's working with exactly what he started with.
That's right. Do you do a mixture of self-produced ACX production style work and then publishers?
Yeah, right now it's a little more in publisher work, but
good.
But
it's nice to do less of that kind of tedious work.
Yes and no, but I've made some good relationships with some authors.
Yeah.
Some of whom I have met in person. A couple of guys from Kansas City that I read for.
Yeah.
And publishers here in the Cincinnati area. I've done several. I've done 6 or 7 local things for a publisher called Chili Dog Press. And so a combination of fiction and nonfiction. I've got one in for Macmillan in process right now being proofed on the Gemini space program. And that's for P.J. Oakland.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
Who is also a pilot, by the way.
At some point, you'll probably hear there should be a story about them being plucked out of the ocean by aircraft carriers.
Yep.
And one of those was the USS Wasp, CV-18, CVS-18.
Listen to you.
That my father was on.
Come
My dad
on,
has
did he
slide
yank down?
photos of watching them being pulled out of the ocean.
Wow. Did they pull Gus Grissom out?
You know, I don't remember names of who those gentlemen were at the time. I just know the stories. You know that
Your
movie Big
dad
Fish?
was on the Wasp?
You know the movie Big Fish?
Yeah.
The story, the guy that had all the great stories, and the son's like, I don't know if the son's very sort of pessimistic. It's like, this is all BS. I don't believe any of it. And then the whole movie, he's verifying all of his father's stories, and it's a beautiful film. I love it. But that's my father. I hear his stories. I don't have any way to verify all of the stories, but he was a serious photographer at the time and took a ton of slides. And he has slide photos of the Gemini capsule popping out of being pulled out on the deck. So,
that's fantastic.
yeah, that's pretty neat.
It was the stepchild of the space program, but they never would have gotten to Apollo without Gemini. So
It was used for research, right? It was a research. Was it a research thing to kind of?
Because they had to be able to do spacewalks. They did the first spacewalks in the Gemini program.
Right.
And without the Gemini program and having 2 crew members together, there was no way to make sure that they could last long enough in space, because eventually they were going to have to. They tested the fuel cells that General Electric made. They had ejection systems that they were working on, and just, all of that had to be
so brave.
Oh, yeah,
so brave.
Yeah,
I mean,
they sure were.
Every time is an experiment.
Yeah, every flight's a test flight.
You know, I mean, not to be too cheesy, but on VOBS, you remember our phrase that we used many a time? Every week it's Apollo 13.
That's right. That's right.
Because we had so many episodes because of that live factor.
Mm-hmm.
So many episodes where stuff was going wrong up to the beginning of the show. Sometimes during the beginning of the show. I mean, countless problems because the gear was so finicky and touchy because we were using prosumer at best gear most of the time that I mostly cobbled together. He said, "Dan, we need to buy these cameras and we need this video card and we need this Mac." And then like every episode, like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this input working? You know, we learned a hell of a lot doing that show. But yeah, it was either every week was Apollo 13, or I also like to say, we were like a NASCAR driver who had a horrible fiery crash, and he'd jump out of the car and he'd dust himself off, and then he'd wave to the audience. That was no one's gonna die on our show, but you know we came close to a death numerous times. We did one whole episode where half the episode Dan is on my phone on a Skype call.
How did I
on
miss
the phone
that?
And I'm holding it in front of the camera
for the
like
whole
this
episode
for about 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
We thought, because he came from radio and broadcast, and I had a decent amount of live radio experience. And so we just had the attitude is that the show has to go on. We have an audience here. There might be 10 people watching, but we had a live audience, and we weren't going to just be like, well, that crashed. We're going to see you later. My attitude always was find a way, fly the plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My late brother used to say, and I will drop the F-bomb here, he used to say there is no way to unfuck up a live broadcast.
Once it gets to that point, it's all downhill. And then there's great stories of calamities of live shows, right?
When I was
gets
on
worse and worse.
Yeah, when I did that show, since it was live, no net. When I became an air show announcer, I think part of the reason I got successful as an air show announcer is because I understood the responsibility of keeping the show going no matter what. And there was not a moment that I was on stage at an air show announcing, whether it be at Miramar, the largest military show in the country, and Jones Beach in New York, 300,000 people over the weekend and things like that. That I was not acutely aware of the skills that I learned on TV with Bob Braun. He was a master at it. And that's the way that whole station, WLW, that network, the Crosley Network initially, and then Avco, everybody lived live. And so we understood that. There's so many stories.
I love doing the show live. I mean, what we're doing right now is not live, but I think of it as I'm doing it live. I might do some editing. I'm even thinking while we're talking, how will I edit this? Do I need to edit this as much? Well, I'm interviewing a professional orator who does live broadcasts. I'm not going to have to edit this show very much.
That's good.
I'm going to have to take a few flubs where we made a few flubs or we did a retake maybe 3 times total. But I'm not going to have to sit there and massage the living hell out of this episode. I've done other episodes where I've interviewed some pretty well-known broadcasters. I won't name any names in this case, but the guy is on television, and I edited the heck out of that episode.
Really?
Because he's not a live guy. He's a television guy, and he has producers and editors who takes everything and massages it and makes it amazing, and I realized that's a different set of skills.
I produce another podcast for Sporty's Pilot Shops called Pilot's Discretion, and there is something I've learned listening to other people's podcasts, even in the voiceover realm or genre, and also in this, with some people use, yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
And I find that a bit challenging to have to listen to that, especially when there are word people doing it, like voice actors who are doing it. For me, I could never get away with that in an air show.
Right.
So I have to either pause and formulate what I'm going to say or get it right the first time.
That just takes practice. There's just no two ways about it. You're not
that's
born
true.
with that.
I want to talk gear with you. I've got my mic. You're using an Austrian audio mic. Is that right?
This is a live singing handheld condenser. It's called the OC707.
It sounds really good. What are you doing to it?
Oh, I EQ'd it quite a bit. So what I've learned about live singing vocal handheld condensers is they're designed for a very specific task. They're designed to make the engineer's job easier when they're doing a live mix, right? So when they designed the mic, they had all those things in their mind when they designed it, right? They want to make sure it had the best possible feedback rejection you could possibly have in a mic, right? So it's got all these things in the design around that. It's got as you'll notice, a completely open.
Oh my gosh, I see that. Oh my goodness.
The entire
and you're 90
capsule's
degrees at 90
suspended.
degrees off axis. It just sounds like you just disappeared.
Oh yeah, it just you drop off a cliff pretty quick. So the mic is designed to reject feedback as best as humanly possible. It's also got an EQ to it to help the vocals pop out a bit in the mix so that they separate a bit from the other instruments on stage.
So that's a 2.5K boost?
Yeah, something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's not, to me, the most pleasing EQ. So if I disable all of the EQ, it sounds like this. Now, here's the thing. This might be a better EQ in the mix of the show, but when I'm listening to myself, to me, I sound, actually, there's more processing going on because there's also that exciter. Okay, now it's pretty truly flat. So now you can hear it's got a little bit of a upper mid-range honky sound.
Like 400 or 500 hertz.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that mid-honk. But when they designed it, they thought that was going to help, the mix on stage. So they added that. So I'm smoothing that out a little bit. I'm dipping out a little bit of that. I'm also adding a top shelf because, again, it's a flat mic. Because they want this mic to be as easy to EQ as possible.
Gotcha.
So it's not overly bumpy or doesn't have a lot going on. So I'm adding a little exciter. I'm adding a pretty big shelf to the top end, a big, top end pop. So that, again, I'm thinking I want the sound to be going into the computer as close to finished as possible. Also, I'm editing the show in something called Descript. And Descript is not an audio engineer's tool. So it's got really limited processing. And because Descript was built on a web platform, web platforms unfortunately don't support VST plugins. So you're really limited to what you can do. It does have EQ. It does have a fairly good EQ, so you can do some fine tuning. But again, I'm an engineer. If I'm going to get the best sound possible, I'm going to do it right at the source. I don't recommend voice actors do this very often. I don't recommend, unless they've had somebody work with them who really knows the way it's supposed to sound and pre-tunes an EQ for them. I'm more of a fan of record it flat. But again, I've been doing this a while, and I know what I want it to sound like. All that being said, it's still at times I find that I'm not that happy about my EQ all the time. In fact, just before we started recording, I was in there mucking around with it. I was like, you know what? I always think I sound good in the headphones, but when I hear it in the mix, it's too bottom heavy. It's too muddy. And so I dipped a little bit of the mud range out, like the 200 hertz range. I dipped some of that out before we started recording. So I'm still mucking around. But the reason I have this mic is not because I wanted to always have a handheld condenser, but my theory was that a handheld condenser could be the perfect travel mic for a voice actor. That was my theory, because it's internally shock mounted, internally pop filtered. It has an internal 100 hertz low cut filter that you can disengage and engage, and it's internal, so it's hidden away. Actually, is it? Oh, no, it's a physical. There's a switch on the body, but it's a recessed switch.
Okay.
You have to use like a pen or whatever to flick it. But all those things, I thought it could be a pretty ideal voiceover mic for the road, because it's built to take abuse, obviously. It's a handheld mic. So that was my theory. And it's pretty damn good. It's just the EQ of it. I wish it was flatter. I wish it didn't have that kind of that honk to it. That was my only, bugaboo.
I think that you have said something in the past that you kind of like the Sennheiser E935, and I have two of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I used one. I used to do some work for Sennheiser Aviation, and so I got some Sennheiser microphones out of it.
They're
and
like
I
$200, I think.
Correct. And when I did a podcast live with another guest down in Florida, I had my Sennheiser HMD26 Sportscaster headset mic on that I use for air shows.
Yep.
And I gave the 935 to my guest, and he was close to a foot away from it.
Oh.
And we had a room that had a lot of space, and it was not noisy. And he sounded so good, I bought another one.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Yeah.
Where those mics fall short is noise floor, self-noise.
Yeah.
You put it up against a studio condenser mic and you immediately hear the self-noise. It's
nowhere near the gain.
Yeah, it stands
or the
out.
output. Yeah.
And the output is lower, and you get more noise, because the design of these mics is a very different priority. It's made for high SPL, screaming and singing, abuse on a stage, live sound is a very different animal. So I've been in talks with Vanguard for quite some time now. It's like, if you could make me a mic that looks similar to a live mic, but sounds more like a studio mic, what could that be? Because then we could have a mic that you could use in the studio at home, take on the road, self noise that's respectable, in the category of like a higher end mic, but still has the internal shock mount, the internal plosive filter.
Wow.
And it's just made for travel, an internal low cut switch that you can flick and roll off the low end, all in a travel friendly package. And someday Derek will make one. And Derek, you're awesome. He's really creative guy. He only has so many hours in the day, but we've been in talks about how cool that would be someday to have that kind of a a mic.
You did an episode with him, did you not? Or was it the Pro Audio Suite guys that did that?
Pro Audio Suite. Yeah, the Pro Audio Suite we had on Derek earlier this year.
Yep.
So if you're interested about microphone design, microphone philosophy, and a fair amount of technical detail, because Derek knows what he's talking about, I would check that episode out. It's on the Pro Audio Suite podcast. And yeah, it's kind of cool. But I guess the bottom line is I still feel like there isn't still a desert island voiceover mic yet. There's still, the U87 is darn close, but you wouldn't dare travel with it.
No.
You wouldn't dare take it with you.
One of these things when I was working with Sennheiser that I got was an MK4.
Yeah.
And I've done a shootout with this,
good.
and it is so close.
It's very good. I think the voicing is done by probably a very small group of people, and I think they're probably working on Neumanns and Sennheisers. Both. Is my guess.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Because I think they're voiced similarly.
I'm using, when I'm in my normal control room situation, I've got a PreSonus Studio Live console.
Mm-hmm.
I initially was running the U87 through a Vintech preamp, a 473. When I sent my sample to Dan, the first thing he said was, "Don't you trust your preamps?" And so I yanked it out, and I thought, I don't need to add another preamp.
Consistency.
But my favorite interface cost me $700.
Oof, $700.
Yeah, I wonder what that was. It's called...
Gee, let me guess.
The Centrance Passport VO. There it is. It is... When I first hooked it up, I was in Arizona. No, it was in Colorado. We were vacationing in Colorado. My family was skiing. I was not. But man, I got that thing going. What a great piece of gear that is.
Unpaid commercial endorsement happening right here, right before.
No, I will not get any money for this, but I am hoping that whatever happens with the X-ray machines and the next batch, you can get another run, because people who are successful in the business could use this so well.
What do you like about the design? Well, I've said it so many times. Let me hear it from your words.
Okay. It's clean as a whistle.
It is.
It has balanced outputs and balanced inputs. And there is, as far as I'm concerned, if you've got balanced circuitry, the chances of getting radio frequency interference or unwanted hum, those numbers go way down and your percentage for success goes way up.
There's still a lot of opportunities to get RFI into a piece of gear, even with all that balanced stuff. But that's a big part of it.
Right. So it's got a mic mute switch, which is unheard of in the business. And if you're doing a directed session and you want to sneeze, you want to cough, or you want to tell somebody what you really think, you can mute your mic.
And it really mutes. I hate to tell you this, folks, but some of those mute boxes out there, like the Rolls mic mute, they dim, which really means the level is very low. So you have this false sense that the audio is cut off. But then you find out later that they could still hear you, just really faintly.
That's right.
They can hear you go, "God damn." Well, everything's great, guys. Do you want to do another take? Yeah. They're like, yeah, we heard you say that. Yeah, this button actually mutes.
Yeah, it is so compact, so easy. And it's got a balance control between what you recorded and what you're direct monitoring, and that's important in a directed session. I have not even begun to use the second audio interface that's actually built into it for comms.
One, you haven't needed it yet. Yeah.
No, I haven't. But it just plain works. The compressor, I know it's working, but I can't hear it work.
Yeah,
and
absolutely
that makes that's a huge difference for me.
That's all Michael Goodman. I mean, that circuit, I don't know how he designed it, what he did to do it, but he's been using that circuit in the MicPort Pro 3 and 2, I think, and a few other products. It's just the same circuit, and it's just, it's brilliant. It's this very transparent knee compressor limiter. It's technically a limiter because it won't allow the signal to cross that 0 threshold.
But you can't
it's
tell
so
that.
transparent. Yeah.
And I like the high-pass filter.
Yeah, it does its job.
And let me ask you something. And this is
We
something
talked a
I was
lot
thinking
about the high-pass filter, man. When we were designing it, we debated quite a bit
as to where to put it.
About not only what frequency to put, but what slope.
Slope.
And he argued hard against it being too steep of a slope. He said it really shouldn't be more than 12 dB per octave slope. And I was like, what if it was a 60 hertz, 36
18
dB slope?
Oh, boy.
And he was like, well, you do that and it causes this. And then it's going to be in the wrong place for a lot of people. You want it to be more gentle and more musical. And so we let him decide because we all thought we knew what we wanted. I thought I wanted what I needed. But he's like, trust me on this. I design gear for a living. This is what I do. Trust me on the high-pass filter.
So you're happy. Obviously, you're happy with it. I am. My question for you is, if you had the opportunity to put a high-pass filter in the microphone and use it, rather than a high-pass filter in a preamp, where would you put it? Which do you prefer?
I don't really know because it's so incredibly rare where you've got the same exact high-pass filter in a mic and a pre to compare the two. If the one in the mic itself does the job correctly for you, it's nice to have it in the mic because then no matter what you plug that mic into, you're going to get the same end results. So it is nice when it's in there. But the other side of the coin is anytime you add a high-pass filter to a microphone, it always is an opportunity for a noise increase. This is why the Neumann TLM-103 and many other Neumann mics don't have a high-pass filter on them because they know it's an opportunity for noise to get in, and noise does increase. Almost always is a noticeable lift in the self-noise of a mic when you engage a high-pass filter. Now,
I've just had a very, very good lesson.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the Neumann U87 does have a high or a low-cut switch. It's not one that voice actors will ever really use because it's at a very high frequency.
It's like 150 or 160, isn't it?
Yeah, with a shallow slope.
Mm-hmm.
It's a musician's mic. It was designed to go up in an orchestra stage, maybe a pair of them to be a distance from the orchestra, and they might flick that switch to clean out the mud and the low-end rumble that you would get if the mics were farther in the back of a room. That's what that switch is for. But when the interface has one and your mic doesn't, or if the mic has one and the interface does, you got to use your ears. And if you don't trust your ears, get a sound check from me, and I'll listen to these different settings. I have a session. Actually, I have a filter. I have a service called Mic Check, which is sort of like multiple sound checks. So if you're like, I don't know what mode, I don't know what mic, I don't know what distance, there's myriad ways you can mess around with a mic with a high pass, a mic with multiple patterns. There's so many ways you can affect the way it sounds, and you can record it. I'm a fist width away. Now I'm a fist and a thumb away. Now I'm a thumb and a pinky away. Now the mic's in cardioid. Now the mic's in figure eight. There's with certain mics, especially U87, anything with multiple pattern, there's so many ways to affect the sound. So you can record all those different versions and send them to me, and I'll rank them, and I'll tell you, this is my favorite setting of all, and then this is my second favorite. So that's a way you can get help with that.
It's invaluable. It's invaluable. It's worth when you're going for, if you're going to be a professional at this, the money that is spent on making sure that the physical space is right, and that the gear is right, and that gear you can use consistently is right. Hundreds of dollars is not too much to spend.
Mm-hmm. And a mic check, $75, by the way.
That's cheap.
It's a cheap service. It's self-service. Send in your files. I'll send back my thoughts. I'm telling you guys, it's a no-brainer. Getting someone's ears on your audio that has heard thousands and thousands of voice actors' home studios, knows what it's supposed to sound like. It's a no-brainer. So if you're wondering between sound check and mic check, sound check is really, this is an example of my studio, and here's an example of my processing. Give me your thoughts. Mic check is, I have a whole bunch of different settings. I don't know what settings to use, or maybe I have 2 or 3 mics. What sounds better to me? That's what a mic check is. So, little plug we had to slip in there. Thanks for letting me do that.
Well,
I forget to do it sometimes.
Well, it's important that people who are getting into the business understand what works and what doesn't work. And you can go into stores where they will try to sell you thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And I think we go back to something that I've known forever and that you guys on VOBS, you and Dan said, and you continue to say, you can have a $100 microphone in a good room and it'll sound great, or you can put a $3,000 mic in a bad room and it'll sound awful.
It's absolutely true.
And
it's absolutely true.
That's why I decided to spend the money for this, the Audiomute tiles, these Strata tiles, and to have a room built with rock wool and double insulation and the thickness of the wall and a big window put in with special non-resonant glass that I can use this microphone that I love so much that I've now bought 3 of them.
Uh-oh.
Well, I got
Someone's got a problem.
Gas. I've got gas.
You've got gas.
I haven't, but I've got an original U87 that's been refurbed by Tom Onofrio, and then 2 of these, one of which I bought used from a guy at Sennheiser.
Oh, okay.
So the cost.
Who's Tom Onofrio?
Tom.
I feel embarrassed.
Tom Onofrio is I think he's a former Neumann guy, but he does a refurb of Neumann microphones.
Okay.
I had a KM84 that was not working. They're
not modded.
No,
it's just been
he'd
gone through, recapped, whatever,
exactly.
And cleaned and stuff.
New capsule, whatever. I had a KM84 that years and years and years ago that I had bought.
It looks like that.
Yeah, it does.
Right? It's about that size, right?
Yeah. And it was the first phantom power microphone that Neumann ever developed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
And I had bought one of 2 for our church, and over the years we left the church and moved, and then I found out that one of them was just no good. It wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
I bought it for $50 and sent it to Tom.
Good deal.
And $863 later, I have a pristine KM84. And
yeah, that's an amazing mic.
Yeah. But the microphones, I'm a mic junkie.
It's like wine, you guys. Microphones are like wine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could buy a $10 bottle of wine. You'd be very, very happy with that $10 bottle of wine sitting under the bridge.
But
no, just kidding. That would be a $2 bottle of wine.
Some $2.
And I'm not a wine junkie. I'm not a wine junkie at all. I know people who are. But it is like wine. And until you develop the taste, or in this case, the ear, there's no point in buying a wide range of costs of mics. It's just one mic that's correct, that sounds good, with a low noise floor, the right pickup pattern. You're going to be fine, maybe for your entire career.
Yes.
But if you develop an ear, or in this, if you develop the taste, and you get the bug, you can spend thousands of dollars on a bottle of wine, and you can spend thousands of dollars on a mic.
Except my thousands of dollars on a mic will last me dozens of years, right?
It's true. It's true. And they do go up in value. I have a client with two U87 I's, not the AIs, the ones that took a battery inside if you wanted to run a battery.
That's the one that I got from Tom.
Okay, yeah. And those are more valuable than maybe it should be obvious because they're out of production. But those are more valuable than the AI, the one that's currently in production.
Right.
So if you have one of those around, they're a little bit more precious just because there are a limited number of them that exist on the planet.
But its output is 10 dB lower.
It has quite a bit lower
and
output.
So for voice work, I use the AI because of the increased output. And
better signal to noise ratio then. You have a little bit less noise.
Yep.
Right.
So, but nobody's complained about my recordings with this mic.
I would imagine not.
But
your audio sounds fantastic.
well, thanks. The Passport VO and an MK4 is part of my road rig. And I also do take the E935. If I'm going to, if I have something to do and it's high energy car commercial, I've done some of those on the road. And if I don't have as pristine an area or a good enough pillow for it, I'll use that dynamic microphone because nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
But I...
the 935 is a dynamic.
Yes, 935 is dynamic. It's a cardioid. The 945 is a super cardioid, but the 935 is a straight cardioid dynamic mic, $200.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I have a 965, and I think that's
that might be the condenser
version.
Could be.
Yeah. And it's a little bit noisier than I would have liked. I did a little shootout of condenser and handheld mics, I don't know, last year. And the thing that stood out on all of them overall was how noisy they are. Because the electronics and everything are optimized for SPL handling.
Yeah.
And they're not the lowest noise, self-noise. You know what the best self-noise, just by ear, of all of the condenser handhelds I tested was made by?
No.
Behringer.
No kidding?
I tested an Earthworks. I tested the Sennheiser. Granted, none of these were $700-800 condenser mics.
But Behringer.
This was like a $50 Behringer, and it was the one that its self-noise was the least obvious. Let's just put it that way. The least distracting. I didn't hear as much of a distinct shh, in the audio on the Behringer mic. I was shocked.
That's pretty cool.
And I kept it for a while, and then my brother was visiting. My brother does live sound. He does AV and support, reinforcement, theater. He's a total Swiss Army knife. And I gave him that mic. I said, "Here, take this, Steve. You might use it one day." But if it sounds good, it is good. And sometimes inexpensive mics just happen to be better sounding and cleaner sounding than you would have expected. It happens.
I had a situation when my wife and I were on a trip last fall to the United Kingdom, and we were in the Cotswolds, and we had a very, very nice trip. It was one of those once-in-a-lifetime go to England and spend a lot of money trips. And I had an audition for an event that I had done a video for, and they needed a couple of paragraphs added. And so I took... It was before I had the Passport VO, unfortunately, but I had the Revelator with me. I went outside on the deck in this quiet, pristine country area. It was quiet. Took my 935, put it on the stand, recorded the stuff, edited it in, tweaked the EQ, and since it was going to be played through a hotel speaker system in the ceiling, it was close enough that nobody heard the difference.
There you go.
But I've got...
That's experience, ears, and knowing how to use the tools.
Yeah, but voice actors don't want to do that. And the less that any of you guys who coach people and who train people and who work studios and setups for people can allow a voice actor to not have to think about tech, that's good. And that's why
I think it's good.
My chair stays the same. My settings stay the same unless I'm going to do something. I can on my interface I can set the gain for where it's going to be right. It doesn't have to change, and then I can read to my heart's content, punch and roll to my heart's content, and pay attention to the craft of narrating an audiobook or any project.
That is the number one, objective. That's your primary objective.
Yeah, the prime directive. When you built the studio in the house with a lot of glass for Joe Cipriano, right? That he could look outside.
Yeah.
What were your biggest challenges when you did that, George? I've been meaning to ask you that forever.
The biggest challenge?
The glass.
Was knowing if it was going to sound good or not.
but he had a U87, but he uses a 416, a 41.6.
He was really on a 416 the vast majority of the time. Yeah.
And an Avalon preamp, I think.
Did he have an Avalon at the time? I think he had an Avalon. He also had, I think, an LA4.
Oh,
maybe. But I don't recall how much he was using that stuff at the time. I just know he was doing what a lot of voice actors at that level do, which is just preamp into the AD converter.
Boy.
And the AD converter, I think, was an original, at that time, an original Digidesign M-Box.
Wow.
I think that's what it was.
So
yeah.
he was then going into Pro Tools.
Yep, he always is. He still is. He's still Pro Tools, dyed in the wool. It's muscle memory, man. I've tried it 100 times, convince him to not use it, but he's just muscle memory. It's what he knows.
Yeah.
He has trouble with it here and there. You get a new computer. It's a whole thing to get it set up and working the same way as the last time.
And Hillary Huber uses Pro Tools. I know folks who use Studio One. I'm just I'm an Audition guy.
Yeah,
but
Audition's great. Audition's great. It's what you learn, what you know, and also what's reliable. Even if you've learned and know something well, but then it's a constant thorn in your side. I really tell people, is it worth it? Maybe it's time to learn something different if it's really giving you trouble. If it's not giving you trouble and it just runs smoothly and does the job it needs to do and you're efficient, don't change it. Voice actors can be sometimes really impressionable because of social media and coaches, and they get a lot of input, and then they just kind of get stray off the path, and then, now I'm using this DAW. Now I'm using this thing. Now I have an Apollo. And I'm like, holy smokes, slow down. You're way off the scent here. It happens all the time. And again, they do make good customers. They keep coming for me for more help, and they keep watching more of my videos. So thank you.
That's.
But that's not the objective, guys. Keep focused on what's important. If that's what you really love is voice acting.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah,
So.
Keep it simple. As much as we love the gear and we talk about it, just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I got to cut us off because if I don't, I'm going to get starving, and my girlfriend's going to be like, when are we leaving? Because we're going to go take a little trip out of the house. But
this has been delightful.
It's been really fun. Yeah, absolutely. You know.
Thanks, partner.
2 peas in a pod,
Yeah.
Planes, bikes, same thing.
And then we're going to have to talk about sports audio too. That's just, my goodness.
No doubt about it. There's so many different stories to share. And you can come back another time, I hope, to do that.
Let's do it next week.
Next week. You know what, man? I'll be honest. Right now, you're like the 11th interview in my queue right now that's waiting to get edited.
Oh, my gosh.
As much as I hate to say it.
Well, I've got...
And the hard part right now is knowing who's in that inbox right now, and I'm just like, what do I edit next?
Oh,
it's so hard.
Hey, no problem. Thank you very much for having me on. It's an honor to be on your podcast and to hang with you, and I'm so glad that you were available last minute when I was out in LA back in April.
Me too, man.
That worked out great.
Sometimes it's really great to not be overly busy.
Yep.
It's nice to be able to be spontaneous sometimes.
Without a doubt.
So glad you asked.
All right, man.
Thanks for being here with me, Rob. And,
Dynamite. Likewise.
Fly the plane.
You betcha. Thanks, George.
George the Tech.